It mentions here a framework for anti-money laundering based on AI and SATP and CBDC transactions. Again, Quant and SATP. Every time I see SATP, I'm just immediately thinking Quant. We've been there and we've done that. But I did also mention for over a year now that Quant, you will see a lot more talk about AI. We are literally seeing that come into fruition, ladies and gentlemen. The other thing I want to get into is this abstract. Talks about CBDCs. Talk about them being pivotal. That's not so much the point. The point is many countries are actively exploring the implementation of CBDCs for retail and wholesale settings and their potential international financial transactions. Regulatory compliance has become paramount in these evolving payment systems as concerns about money laundering have grown. True. There's been recent tweets, even from Gilbert Verdian, addressing some of this. But it says this paper highlights the need for real time transaction monitoring and the detection systems. Okay, what about the whole thing of SATP? Well, we addressed that. In the case study, they introduced an integrated architecture that combines CBDCs with secure asset transfer protocol systems. By the way, it does utilize AI based prevention and, of course, those detection techniques. And as we do, you see also here, this approach aims to enhance privacy over existing approaches. If you go to the humanized site with Salience, literally mentions those key things as well. I'm just saying, call it a stretch, call whatever you want. But it's the common ground of why we get into the weeds of some of the research. So it says tailored to international transactions, large financial institutions, while improving the effectiveness of anti-money laundering measures. It's a big deal. And more importantly, when is the date of this conference? That should be eye opening to you.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. Just a few taps, you can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
And it's coming up soon. September 12th, basically. I should say, actually happened, 12/9 of, the 9th through the 12th. I read that backwards. February 2025. So it already happened, okay? Basically, they added more to this on the 31st of March. So some recent things that happened here, right? That's important. Definitely important. In the screenshots, you may be wondering, is there any mention of Quant's overledger? The answer is yes. As I zoom in more about this and why it matters to you, it says several approaches have emerged from or implementing ISO 222 compatibility and blockchain systems. Again, this whole thing with the IEEE, where it said sign in for more. Well, thanks to Quant Papa, he gave us the more. For one, on-chain message stores, storing complete ISO 222 messages on blockchain networks. You saw the other deep dive that Channing and I recently did with Gilbert Verdian in the highlight in that Zoom call. He mentions the whole thing of those messages. Look at this, everybody. This aged well. So leveraging the rich data structure while adding immutability and transparency. Checkmark. Hybrid messaging using traditional channels to complete ISO 222 message while storing cryptographic proofs on chain for verification. Semantic mapping. Gilbert Verdian also mentions that. By all means, watch that video. So everything here is matching up. And of course, like it says, projects like Quant Networks Overledger and R3 Corda have demonstrated practical implementations of these approaches, enabling seamless interaction between ISO 222 messaging and distributed ledger systems. I think, Channing, that's the smoking gun, especially the bottom part. Pillar 2, backend crypto infrastructure for enhanced settlement. Think about Quant's connection. Think about the bigger picture. Kicking over to you, brother, on why this matters.
brother. I mean, it's like we said in other videos, a lot of people harp on ISO, 222, but don't realize that that's just one part of one standard. And that has to integrate into other standards and in the other processes for it actually to be a reality. And to know that you have players like R3, you've had players like Quant in the background working on these proof of concepts, showing the big boys, showing the conglomerates, hey, this technology works and you can integrate it into your processes. You can look at things like Project Horizon. You can look at the RLN trials, both the US and the UK. You can look at the RSN, trials. It's at this point in time, I love to see these things, even if it's a little older, because they age well. They literally have been telling us to our faces in multiple different ways for quite some time now, the last few years, that these processes are moving to blockchain, and these are the key players helping them in the process along the way of making their blockchain goals a reality. And for to know that Quant is right there alongside of multiple at this point that we've done videos on now, at least 4 or 5 different standard organizing bodies is insane to think about. To know that they're not just talking, they don't just have roadmaps, but they literally are putting the proof in the pudding, brother. They literally are showing the world. If you want to bring this process onto your company, if you want to bring this process into your borders, we can do it for you, and we can do it for you seamlessly. So just go ahead, look at the things we've already done, look at the trials that's already taken place that were done successfully to show you that we can make it happen. Just call us, just tap in to Quant, utilize Overledger and make all of your Web3 dreams a reality. It's quite incredible, brother. And to know that ISO standard goes live this November, that's why you've had that 24-month coexisting period of the MT and XM or MX messaging standards riding alongside of each other, letting the people stick their toe into the water to see if it's too cold or is it actually, body temperature. You can just jump in and take a dive and go for a swim, because that's what November 2022 is going to be, is people jumping in and that's taking dives and going for swims in the realm, in the pool of Web3 processes. Brother, this is an incredible time to be in the Web3 space and knowing about these players that are providing infrastructure for the largest conglomerates in the world to actually bring to us, the masses, because we are their customers. We are who utilizes their services. So, brother, I kick it back over to you.
Well, speaking of the services, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring the actual citation, other than just quoting, the paid subscription from IEEE. Here's where some of this was coming from. So as we pull this up on the screen, let's get into it. It's this PDF that was in reference. It's literally referred to as the future of global financial systems. Quant Network is part of that. Think about that. And again, where was the IEEE pulling this from? Well, I'll show you that citation a little bit more. But integration of traditional finance and decentralized technologies. This was written by Dimitri Jean Noel II, child of YHWH and follower of Yeshua. Hey, right on. Fellow Christian brother. I love that. So this was March 2025. Some of you guys want to see some things that are literally more towards the now. Okay, cool. And also what we see here in the executive summary about some of these evolving frameworks. All right. So where was it originally pulled? Well, remember how we mentioned the whole thing about Quant and R3? Well, let's jump into that. Actually, excuse me. It's right there. My bad. Actually, it's not right there. Let's just type in Overledger. My bad. There we go. So yeah, like you see, page 23 of 49. Projects like Quant Networks, Overledger, and R3 Corda have demonstrated practical implementations. Really, we already covered that, right? But again, some of you guys want to see that. But what's important, it's not so much just reiterating that. What's important for me is this: the future of global financial systems. And of course, we know that R3 is partnered up with Quant to get some of this done. R3 obviously XDC Bridge, R3 obviously with XRP. So those three should stand at the pinnacle for you moving forward. Jumping into the next part and why it matters, let's zoom out just a tad bit. Well, understand the terminology. For one, you see the future of global financial systems. Then you see this SEC. SEC. You know, Channing pointed this out before. He goes, "My God, Maximus, my God." Well, my God, Channing, my God. That's not blasphemy. I've never used the Lord's name in vain. But what do we see here, Channing? It's the same terminology and highlighted by the SEC. And look what it says. My goodness. The future of global financial systems with a coexistence period ending in November 2025. Financial institutions must prepare for this transition. I mean, geez. SEC highlighting it? And then a little bit more about this. Future of Finance, Dominic Hobson's platform, right? Winners are best chain or cross-chain interoperability vendor. Chainlink won. Oh no, this doom and gloom for Quant. Pump the brakes on that one. Best peer-to-peer interoperability vendor, Onera. Interesting. And of course, you see, that was an important dinner. Okay. Of course, there's some of the key people there, right? Now watch this for a second. Let's take you to Future Finance. 2 days ago, awards June 19th. Again, some of these are winners. So the winners of the category of digital money are best tokenized deposit issuer, JP Morgan. And we already know about JP Morgan's connection to Quant Network. JP Morgan, they got a connection to Oracle. Oracle does their infrastructure. Who also has a direct partnership with confirmation as of this year with literally Oracle. Quant. That's interesting. But Quant did win something. So again, we'll get to that in a second. So best non-bank stablecoin issuer, Circle. Best digital payments network, Visa. Again, Visa, their direct connections to Ripple. Their direct connections to who? Stellar, Hedera, and even Quant. And of course, the highlight, Quant did win one of them. Best programmable payments platform is Quant Network. That's big. Glad to see it. And of course, there's the whole highlight. This comes from, I think I can blow this up a little bit bigger. Yeah, I can. Again, Future Finance. And you see it. That recently happened. And who's the event sponsor? Oh, no big deal. No big deal, Channing. Just NASDAQ. Just dust off her shoulder, right? Some of you guys listen to some Jay-Z, right? Some of you guys might not like Jay-Z. But anyway, dust your shoulder off, right? Interesting. All right, before I kick back over to Channing for some closing comments, the next part we're going to get into is keep your capital moving, how programmable payments optimize liquidity in real time. In my opinion, this is in direct reaction, Channing, to the whole thing of them winning that award, okay? So again, just a re-advisement, just in case you guys missed it. Best programmable payments platform winner is Quant. Jumping over, and again, that was announced, the 19th? Yep, 19th. Jumping over to the 20th, they want to showcase their award. I mean, who wouldn't want to showcase it? So, keep your capital moving, how programmable payments optimize liquidity in real time, written by Rachel Bo. I can never remember how to pronounce it. But that's not the point, okay? It's a use case, the optimization of transforming idle cash into strategic assets that powers greater financial agility. Hidden costs in idle capital. I mean, think about this. I love this quote. Programmability takes the headache away from trying to figure out the best way to optimize idle cash. And some of you guys may wonder, idle cash. I don't know if some of you guys have listened to my program from the very beginning. I highlight Clearpool. Clearpool is a great platform for some of you guys that are looking for crypto exit plans, or what's the end game? It's putting idle cash to use, ladies and gentlemen. So this is not Clearpool video, but again, your stable coins. putting that idle stable coins into use, earning yield off of those stable coins. Look into Clearpool if you choose to do so. Ticker symbol is CPOOL. Let's jump back to this because, again, Quant Network references some of these key things. So the hidden costs of idle capital, idle cash isn't just wasted, it's costly. It limits liquidity, drags down returns, and creates operational risk. Businesses maintaining excessive reserves and low interest accounts are missing out on yield and flexibility. In today's economy, where uncertainty is high and interest rates are in flux, if inefficient cash management could mean the difference between scaling up or slowing down. I would highly advise you guys to read more about this because we're not going to read the whole thing. This is the last part I'll read, and I'll kick it back to Channing. It's intelligent liquidity, automation, and action. Think about how Quant helps out with this. Do they mention APIs? You better believe they do. Bet your sweet tutu on it. Cash optimization is the art of making every pound work harder. What about the euro moving forward? What about maybe the dollar moving forward? So with programmable payments, businesses can now automate liquidity management based on live data and predefined rules. QuantFlow, our ready-to-deploy API-driven programmable money platform, enables real-time sweeping between operational reserve and high-yield accounts. Funds are automatically repositioned to ensure that liquidity is available where it's needed most without relying on manual transfers or end-to-end month reconciliations. Now, Channing, I'm going to kick it over to you here in a bit. I'll leave you guys with this, and I want to get your 2 cents on this. So I believe it was yesterday, Jesse and I referenced our brother in space, Sebastian. We also referenced our brother in the space, Mine Crypto. We miss Mine. They point out the QNT spot reserves. There's another update, right? You and I have done this before in the past as well. Those reserves getting dramatically low on that supply. We talked about the possibilities of price shock. In the findings, Channing, it points out that, once again, no ETH pairing with QNT at all. And we're talking a lot of Quant, lots of QNT, Channing. Again, movements on, was it Coinbase Prime and so on. But again, QNT, no ETH. So it's going to get moved, and to a sense, that's a lockup. They are primed and ready to go within just a few weeks, not even that, for this whole thing of what they're choosing to do with Fusion. The writing, as you would say, is literally on the wall, brother. I think price shock is imminent. I think combine that with the whole thing of mandates. Yes, we're aware of the war going on and so on. Who doesn't know that? Again, nothing against the Yahoo on your channel who pointed out. He's like, are you YouTubers aware of it? Yeah, we're aware of it. Were we living under a black rock? No pun intended on that one. But come on, man. I mean, yes, we're aware of it. Are we aware that our bills are still here and that we have to pay them, for crying out loud? Yes, we're aware of all of it. But at the same time, I'm not going to stop covering what is important any more than the next guy. So again, with everything mentioned, I think these are lockups. I really, truly do. Because there's no pairing. And again, some of these other key findings, but Quant did win at least one, and I think that's a big deal. Quant and the future of finance. Take it away.
Well, it's like they've said before, we're the foundation of digital finance. And what is the Bank of the European Central Bank using them for? They're using them for their programmable APIs. You have to truly tap in and see. It's just like the Grammys. It's just like in the American Music Awards. It's just like, the Latin Grammys. And then each country has its own set of Grammys and awards, things of that nature. This is just one organizing body that chose someone else is interoperability over Quant. It doesn't mean that it's the end all be all for Overledger or the end all be all for it. This is just one organizing body that said this process they're best at this, and this process you're best at this process you're best at that. So I'm gonna leave that where that lies as far as the awards are concerned, because We already know the proof is more so in the pudding. Oracle would not have coupled itself with the interoperability protocol that wasn't interoperable. Neither would the Bank of England, neither would the ECB, neither would the Bank of Canada, and anyone else that have come out with interoperability solutions in regards to Overledger or utilizing Overledger in some way. This was just an award by one organizing body, the Future of Finance, and this was their take on it all. Chainlink is a great protocol. I own some Link as well. I try to stay diversified, but it doesn't touch my Quant holdings by no means. But to know that they did win the programmable money, and to know that what does Fusion, what is everything they've been really horning on these past few months with Quant Flow and the language of money and the money engine and all those things, it's showing you, and if you really think about it, interoperability is great. And that's connecting blockchains together. But if you have the world's API for money, that means all the money that's flowing through the world is touching your APIs. It's a win-win if you ask me. I've said multiple times, no one player in any industry has 100% of the market. It is all shared. Now, you will have someone who has the lion's share of that market, but then you also have smaller players that's also doing that exact same thing and has a huge customer base as well, processing and moving forward. So again, this is just one award. Did they win it in interoperability? No, but if they win it for programmable money, yes. And we'll see what the future unfolds, and we'll see what happens. Like, no one knows how all these processes will eventually play out in the end. The only thing we can do is sit back like we're at a movie theater in our seats and watch the screen as different processes take place, brother. For them to even be in the room, for them to even be nominated, just like the Grammys, just because you don't win Grammy of the Year or Artist of the Year or Album of the Year, doesn't mean your album wasn't great. It doesn't mean you don't have a huge fan following. It doesn't mean you didn't sell millions of records. It just means that this one organizing body saw that someone else, in their eyes, did it better, or whatever the case may be. So I'm here for it all. The future of Web3 is still extremely bright, and all of these compliant players, like a Link, like a QNT, still king, I don't care what they say, like a Hedera, like a chain, a XRP and XLM and XDC and IOTA and whoever else, ADA and whoever else is out there that are doing real processes, that have real companies that are providing real services. In the end, you can't help but win.
Now, Channing did mention this, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so he was talking about, for example, it's not so much the focus of like winning all the awards. It's, again, just having a seat or being there. Now, watch this. This is really going to pound home what Channing's mentioning. This is from LinkedIn. Future of Finance 2 days ago highlighted some of these things, but they highlight and thank, for example, quite a few people. But here's your highlight: Goncalo Lima. Okay, so it says, thank you for taking part in digital transformation and payments accelerating, with more banks adopting wholesale and commercial digital tokens to improve efficiency and reduce cost. That's interesting. All right. Again, industry collaboration. Gilbert Verdian talked about that in the Zoom call that we recently covered, right? That exclusive that we have here on both of our channels. And there's Dominic Hobson. Here's the point. If you zoom in more on this guy, Goncalo is the gentleman sitting in the middle with the glasses. Okay? So I think that is worth pointing out. And again, we did kind of a deep dive on the significance of him, especially when it comes to partnerships, right? So again, we talked you guys the ears off about impressive people like Dr. Luke Riley, but Goncalo Lima is definitely killing it when it comes to the behind the scenes, getting the partnerships done for the Quant network. Okay, and this last one, here's why this is important. Trust is essential. Successful digital currency and payment systems require legal frameworks, clear rules, supervision, risk management, dispute resolution beyond just secure code, public and private partnerships. Again, that key thing about partnerships And governance structures are critical but take time and resources to build, which slows down implementation and adoption. Some of you guys feel as though that's one of the main complaints you have about Quant. But Rome, just like Quant, wasn't built in a day. Progress is ongoing, although it may feel slow. See, they recognize what we're talking about. Industry collaboration, organized projects, regulatory engagement has significantly increased over the past 5 years. Don't ever forget about that part. Because while this was all built, ladies and gentlemen, understand that at some point, especially with mandates, it will all come into fruition. And you'll appreciate taking the time to understand these technologies and why they matter moving forward. So there you guys have it. That's the outline. And with that said, Channing, you have the honor of the closing word for everybody, or phrase, if they listen to the entire outline. What is it?
Quant flow, because their programmable money will be used worldwide. So you made it all the way through this entire outline and you've picked up what we've put down. Type in the word quant flow. Go ahead, brother.
And we'll know that you listened to the entire outline. On behalf of myself and King Channing, and we have No Way Hold It, the research trumps FUD 110%. We'll see you on the next one.